we will learn about probability. Now, you will see the word experiment when we are talking about probability. Probability is when there is uncertainty. So, when we measure uncertainty, we find probability. Experiment means performing an action many times. Like, I have a coin and I am tossing it 10 times and recording the results. First time I'll toss it, I'll get a head. Second time, I can get a tail. So, this whole thing of tossing it 10 times together, all these trials will make my experiment. Now, each toss of a coin is called trial. So, an action which results in outcomes is called your trial. And now we will talk about these outcomes and event. Now you have seen when we toss a coin, either we will get head or tail. So the results are called outcomes. The result of a trial, results of trial are called outcomes. For example, when we toss a coin, outcomes are head or tail. Either we get a head or we get tail. And in case we talk about a die, singular is die and for plural we write dice. What are the outcomes? Outcomes are, you have seen a die, outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the numbers which we see on a die. So, when we talk about experiment, outcome and trial, out of this, if I am tossing a coin, I am saying I am successful if I get a head. So, getting a head is my favorable outcome. So, that favorable outcome is called your event. So, let's write about event now. So, event is your collection of favorable outcomes. So, I can say getting a head to win a toss of coin. So this getting a head will make me successful. So when I am successful, it is favorable to me. So getting a head is my event. Now in this, you will also see the word equally likely. That means they have equal chance of occurring. So equally likely outcomes are chances which have same chance of occurring. So if I toss a coin, I can get a head, I can get a tail. So they have equal chance of appearing. So they are called equally likely outcomes. Now we will talk about the experimental or empirical probability. So when we perform an experiment number of times and record the results, that is called your experimental or empirical probability. So experimental, and another name given is empirical probability are based on the results of actual experiment and sufficient number of results are recorded. Sufficient number of recordings of the events. So experimental or empirical probability means that you actually perform the experiment and note down the results. And the formula we always write from the word probability, event we write E. This is number of trials in which the event occurred. What do you mean by this? That I am successful if I get a head. So we will check how many times head appeared. So number of trials in which the event occurred upon the total number of trials. Now we have taken an example. So let's write about the let's take example of again a coin and toss it 10 times. So if I toss a coin 10 times, tossing a coin 10 times, this is my experiment. And when first toss, each toss is called trial. So when I toss it first time, I am getting a head, I am getting tail second time, then tail, head, tail, head and head. So each time when I toss, that is called your trial. And what are the results? These are the results of my trials, and together all these trials will make the experiment. Now my event is, that means I'll be successful if I get a head. Getting a head. So in case out of this, we want to find the probability. So probability of event will be how many times head is appearing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And we have written the formula earlier. We count how many times the event happened. So 10 times we toss the coin, and you always give, after cutting, you give your probability as 1 out of 2.